So we've got a couple of things looking at some new Fallout 76 news. The first and probably the biggest of these is kind of a big featurette Bethesda put together showing us what they're changing and fixing in this update and specifically when the update is coming. Before I jump into that, I've been saying in a couple videos now that once I hit 350,000 subscribers, I'm going to do a cooking video with the Fallout cookbook. How fitting would it be to do that on Thanksgiving? We're pretty close, so if you guys want to subscribe, hopefully I could get the video done by then. So more or less, this new post by Bethesda is honestly summed up pretty well by them. They say here, we want you to know that we have seen your feedback, taking note of issues and value the time you have taken to provide your thoughts and report problems. Effectively trying to say, hey, we're listening. They also mentioned that the first patch for Fallout 76 is coming on Monday, November 19th. So depending on when you're watching this video, roughly 2 days from right now. As to what's actually coming with this update, they specifically say that there's going to be performance fixes and optimizations in it, but what's not going to be in it are some of those quality of life changes, such as the Stache Limit and some of the other PC quality of life things like an Fov Slider, push-to-talk. They go on to say that it really is going to be focusing on game performance and stability on all platforms. But even beyond that, there's going to be some bug fixes as to some of those quests, like probably the Grafton Mare quest, or hopefully the Grafton Mare quest. And then go on to specifically mention some UI issues. I assume maybe some of those PC things where you can't go to the side of your screen. And camp issues, which I'm going to speculate is maybe people having a lot of issues with placing blueprints as one cohesive structure. I haven't really built anything, so I wouldn't know, but I definitely have heard a lot of people having a lot of issues there. They also mentioned how this is going to be a fairly large patch, larger than future patches. In other words, I think they're saying that you might have to download, let's say, 20 gigabytes. That's total speculation, but don't get used to that. In the future, seemingly the patch sizes will be much smaller in download size when compared to this first one. In addition, they say patch notes will be available early next week. Which, what? Isn't early next week when the patch is coming out? I just assume they mean the day the patch is coming out. It's coming out on a Monday, unless they mean on Sunday, which is technically the start of the week. And that's kind of all they say about this first patch. It definitely seems exciting. Hopefully we do have a lot fixed. There's a few other things they talk about here that I do want to go over, but it's about future patches. As far as this first patch goes, I know a lot of people are immediately probably going to be unhappy we're not getting some of those quality of life fixes, such as push-to-talk, the Stache Limit increase, etc. And you're right, I think it's honestly a little bit ridiculous that now we're going to be pretty far away after release, and some of these complaints that popped up weeks ago still haven't been addressed. The Stache Limit, I kind of get it, but things like push-to-talk and ultra-wide support, those are pretty basic features, and it's things that are really affecting people's experience in this game. I know for me, I largely just turn off in-game communication because of how frustrating I found it while trying to record footage. But I still want to praise Bethesda for this, because I think what they're doing here is a huge step in the right direction as far as communication goes. This is a company that I've criticized for poor communication numerous times over the past year or two. And I think this is pretty much exactly what I want to see, a clear layout as to what they're doing in the future. They mention in this post that they're going to do things like this on a weekly basis, and I really hope they stick to that. I'm sure in the future it'll also include things like DLC plans or what new content is getting added. But the example I want to give to people that are frustrated about the lack of quality of life changes, just look at it this way, at least we know. In the past, when there was not really any communication, you downloaded the update and you just had to go check, oh, did anything get fixed? And to be clear, I think the communication is good, but the game has a lot of problems right now, and I think the first goal probably should have been, hey, let's release a game that's bug-free or as close to it as possible, and with all those features we got recommendations for during the beta. But the reality is, getting all of those new features and bug fixes added in is going to take time, and I think this is a good course of action from Bethesda. Communicating with the community as they actually do release these updates, and hopefully in a month or two the game is in the state it should have been on release. But even beyond that, they talk a little bit about some of the changes they actually are making in the future, such as the Stache Limit increase. Here they say they hear us loud and clear and the Stache Limit will be getting increased, and they mention how the current cap is actually there for stability reasons. Basically, the game has to track all of the various items on the server, so the more items you have in your stash, the more items likely on a server. But what they say is they're hopefully going to address this on the back end in ways that won't sacrifice stability. This is actually something I heard rumblings about, mainly from mod authors, that there is maybe a technical reason for the stash limit. That's why I wasn't really criticizing it too much in some of my past videos, because I mean, I could see how that could be a thing, and it seems like it is confirmed here. I also kind of hope they don't make it a ridiculously high number, like I think 600 even could be fair, or making junk waitlist, something like that. I don't want a 10,000 stash limit, because I still do like the fact that you have to manage your inventory somewhat, although that might be a controversial opinion. On Push to Talk, they just really mentioned that it's coming in the next few weeks. It seems like maybe even before that, we are getting 21.9 support. They say they're testing it right now, and apparently it does look quote-unquote awesome. And then finally, the one that I find particularly interesting, they talk about the Fov slider for PC users. And they basically just say that they know it's a popular request for PC players and look for an Fov slider soon. This is particularly interesting to me because in the past they actually made a post talking about some of those issues, and in that said the Fov slider would not be coming. That because it caused clipping and a variety of other issues. But it seems like they have actually changed their stance on that and are now actually going to be adding in an Fov slider in the future. Outside of that, one other piece of news, if you still don't have your Power Armor edition, Bethesda is actually going to be sending out codes. This is a couple days old at this point, but I figure if some of you still are unable to play the game, basically you have to submit a ticket with their support, or you can contact them through other means. I'll have a link to it down below. I figure I'd just mention it in this video in case you still are waiting. There still is the controversy of the fact that many people paid $55 for shipping on this edition, and it said when you bought that'd be shipped through UPS. In reality, it was shipped through USPS. The game released right after a holiday, so then there was issues there. USPS wasn't open or shipping on that holiday, so it of course delayed the actual arrival of the game for probably thousands of people. And one final thing I want to bring to your attention is actually a video that was released yesterday by Digital Foundry. If you've never seen these guys' videos before, basically it's all to do with frame rate and performance on the various consoles. They ran a test for Fallout 76, and their findings are really interesting. I know a lot of people, especially on the PS4 side, have been reporting graphical or frame rate issues, and in this they basically approach it from a factual basis. The really interesting part about their findings in this video that will be linked down below, more or less, there's different frame drops in different areas on different consoles. So it's not like on the Xbox and the PS4, you just both get FPS drops at the top of the world building. It only occurred on one of those consoles and then didn't occur on the other, but then in another region, it would only occur on the other console and not on the opposite one. More or less, their conclusion in the video is it's really hit or miss, and it seems very odd, and they can't really deduce what's going on. What's the actual bottleneck here? The reason I'm shouting it out is it's a factual approach at the performance issue, and I feel like if you guys are having some of those issues, you should give it a watch. Otherwise, that's pretty much gonna wrap it up for this video. As always, again, I thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it, found it informative, but with that, I hope to see you guys all next time. I should have another video coming out a little bit later today on some rare weapon locations.